So that's weird.
What?
I see no levels, but we hear it just fine. I saw there were no levels for the music. It's weird board night, by the way. What the hell's going on here?
No, I'm quiet again.
We might not have bumpers. Does this help?
I don't know.
Oh, welcome back to the Southside Studios. It's always a mystery. Every time we walk in, it's always different.
What if it's picking up your phone? That's a little loud.
That's
You know what? Because it's getting the air conditioning.
Is that the background hum? All right. Well, we need it. Although I don't feel like it's cooled us down one bit, but we do need it because it is hot as hell in here.
My bus driver had the AC on full crank coming home from work today. Like
those city buses actually get cooled down. I find that
this guy. Well, it was a brand new bus, and he was taking full advantage of his new technology because it was blasting.
Well, that is awesome.
It was so cold.
I've been hot since the moment I walked in here. Well, anyway, Minnesota Podcast, back at you. We have to start out with. There's been so much that's happened in the last couple of weeks since we've been gone. Obviously, huge Supreme Court decision. We'll get to that. I want to touch on the thing that I still can't understand why it's even a thing, and it's still in the news because we're going to get rid of it, at least in South Carolina, from the state house.
We're going there right now.
We're not going to literally get rid of it ourselves.
No, I mean we're not. We're already talking about that topic.
Yeah, that's where I want to start. I want to start with Confederate flag because that's what's been bothering me for the last 2 weeks the most. I feel like this is going to be a Corolla-esque show where I just bitched the whole time. But.
Well, we didn't even talk about what we did, what we've been doing.
Explain ourselves, you mean?
Yeah, we have to explain ourselves. We can't just jump right into the Confederacy.
Oh, all right, fine. Before we get to secession and slavery and all that good stuff. Okay. I was in Milwaukee 2 weekends ago. That was pretty much why we couldn't do a show because I left Thursday. And boy, did I not need to do that. That extra day. We went Thursday, Friday, Saturday, came back Sunday morning. My other 4 buddies that met us up there came Friday, Saturday, and left Sunday. That extra night was so unnecessary. We went to Summerfest, which is a great venue. Go there sometime. Milwaukee's a fun city anyway, but Summerfest is awesome because there was literally 6 or 7 quote-unquote main stages that once you get in the door are free. You don't have to pay anymore, and then you have the actual main stage. But there's just all kinds of great music going on, but you're paying $8 a pop on Miller Lite. Yeah. And the great thing there too is
Miller Lite in Miller City.
Yes. Which again, I when in Rome, I had no problem with
that.
Town. But they are really smart there too. I don't know if this is a Wisconsin thing or maybe State Fair. Take note, and a couple other venues maybe, but bathrooms and beer every 5 feet. You're never a line for either one of those things, and there are thousands and thousands of people there. What a well done place. And then went to Miller Park as well. Saw a couple of Twins games. If you're gonna do an indoor ballpark, I guess that's how to do it. I mean, it's indoor/outdoor because you can open it. But we went the second day when it was open during the day game. It's still not. You still feel like you're kind of indoors. Like there's sun pouring through. I feel like the new Viking Stadium is going to feel more outdoors than Miller Park does when it's open.
The glass.
Yes, just because it's going to seem open air. And then obviously with the 4th and everything last week, people were out of town. You were on vacation. We had a lot going on.
I was. Who was the best? Who was the best show?
Well, Gary Clark Jr. was the only one that I really got to sit and enjoy. Like I saw him do at least a half an hour. We were going to go try to see Trampled by Turtles, but my buddies were pissed that they were all the way at the end, so we had to walk a ways to get down. Like, it's so wide. Trampled by Turtles, right? But and I was with a couple of buddies that actually like country, so they went and saw a country guy, which that was I couldn't make myself do that. Although there was of course a lot of gals over there. Anyway, so
there are a lot of country ladies.
The girls like the country.
That's the place to meet them.
It really is. So that was my excuses for the last couple of weeks. What have you been up to? You don't have an excuse?
I don't have an excuse. I've been here. I've been busy. I mean, I had my triathlon on Saturday.
Which you seem a little stressed out about.
I'm just worried about the distance, and I'm worried about getting up, and I just don't want anything nothing bad's going to happen. I just have to keep telling myself that. It's one of those things where, you kind of amp yourself up and you think about it over and over and over again.
Right.
You're like, am I doing all the right stuff? Am I taking the right steps? So I'm really prepared, so I'm not totally dying. I just don't want to totally die. Like, I want to kill this thing. I don't want to
I don't want to totally die.
Well, you know what I mean. I don't want to be on my bike like I don't want to do this anymore. I know I can finish it. Done it before.
Do you have a time in mind? Are you worried about that kind of thing?
Under 2 hours.
Okay. If you come in at 2:02, are you just pissed?
Fine.
Okay.
And that is like a total guesstimate too. So I'm just trying to be reasonable, think about how long it's going to take me to swim, how long my transitions are going to take, how long my running is going to take. I have no idea how long it's going to take me to bike 14 miles. I have no idea. An hour. There you go. If it takes me an hour to bike 14 miles, it's going to take me.
You should be able to do it in less than that, unless it's a lot of terrain. What kind of a ride is it?
It's around Nokomis, and then it's down
Okay.
down West River Parkway, then over Franklin, then down East River Parkway back to Nokomis.
Okay.
So it's fairly flat, like a few mild hills there, here and there, but nothing major. And then I have a flat run, which will take me under 30 minutes, and then I have a half mile swim, which
5K run?
5K.
Yeah. I was going to say 5 miles in how long? That would have been pretty impressive.
3
Jesus.
miles in under 30 minutes.
Yeah. And then what was the last? And then the swimming is you expect to do.
First, and that's,
That's why. You actually kind of want that first, don't you? That's gonna be.
oh yeah, you
toughest
don't
part.
want to drown.
Although
I mean,
then
it's
you're
not going to
soaking
be
wet
the
the rest
toughest.
of the time too,
That's
right?
nice though, because you can pee in your wetsuit and nobody notices. Everyone pees in a wetsuit. You're soaking wet, and you're running and biking for 2 hours, drinking so much water. You're gonna pee your wetsuit.
I thought that was only like an Ironman thing. I didn't really know that
No.
was just a small triathlon. You're still peeing yourselves, right?
No,
Is that everybody doing that?
probably. Maybe not for like a sprint, or like a super sprint, but it's really not taking you long.
Add that to the list. Of
But you're
things I won't
drinking
do at
so much
triathlon.
water, and you're not gonna. If you have to
You're
pee,
sweating your ass off though too,
and you're
right?
sweating, but you don't ever want to get to the point where you're dehydrated. So you should be drinking enough water. You don't want to overload yourself with water, but you should be hydrated enough where, you're not replenishing. It's always like you're being proactive about your drinking water rather than your hydration rather than reactive.
Then now I'm thirsty. I need
Right.
water. Yeah.
You should really drink water before you're thirsty.
See, and I think it's a policy for me that I don't do things where you have to drink water first.
What do you mean?
I like to play golf or even like tennis or something where I just bring some water.
Everything is
And then
prepared. Well, I don't have to chug
A triathlon,
water.
I
I'm not
just-
chugging water before I go out there. I'm saying the second I get out of my swim cap into my helmet on my bike, I'm drinking water. That's gonna be my first.
Okay. I thought you were saying more you needed to get
I'll be
ready
sipping.
for
I'll
it.
be sipping
water-wise.
I'll be sipping on a bottle of water all morning, but that's not my
Okay.
main purpose.
That I can understand.
I will probably have a full bottle of water before I start, but that's gonna be a slow carry out because you don't want to overload yourself.
We don't want to slam water before you do anything physical anyway. All right. Well, do we want to touch on anything else
I
before
don't
we got into the Confederacy,
boring.
as you put it?
I'm sorry.
No,
That's
no.
all I've been doing. I've been boring. I've been really boring. I've been drinking a lot of alcohol. I've been boating.
That's good for the old triathlon.
Yeah, and that's the problem with training for a summer thing is I feel compelled to drink Friday and Saturday.
Quickly, since we are kind of recapping here,
Doesn't help.
the fireworks show that my buddy put on. Did you happen to see any of my Snapchats or anything that weekend?
No.
Oh my god.
Jason, and even if I did see your fucking fireworks Snapchats, I'm clicking through those things because that's boring.
Right, but you could have, just by looking at those Snapchats and literally clicking through them, gone, Jesus Christ, when does this thing end? What are they up to here?
I thought it was professional fireworks.
It basically was $4,000 worth of fireworks.
Why?
Because my buddies
Who
are
makes
crazy.
their shit up? That's
They
that's
don't even.
ridiculous.
They used to go to the store and basically buy everything. Now they go to a warehouse. That's how hardcore they are.
in Wisconsin,
Yes, but this is. I
obviously.
mean, they put the show on for the lake,
They just buy $4,000 of Roman candles.
or not even.
We're going hardcore, man.
Just some the worms and the little whippersnappers and shit.
Can we even do the bottle rocket ones where you hold them
If
out?
it flies, you can't have it in Minnesota. You can't have anything in this state.
So dumb.
But the reverse is over there, where they're shooting off artillery shells. I mean, they had the trailer full of them in the front when I got there. We took that trailer. The garage was half full of fireworks. We put them on a trailer, wheeled them down to the back, and then also had to get all the fuses out, pile them up again. It was just the process of getting the fireworks ready was 2 hours. It's insane, but it was crazy. Hour and a half show. It was unbelievable.
I'm glad you guys had fun.
It was a good time.
Went to shit-ass Wisconsin. Sounds horrible.
I love Turtle Lake, Wisconsin. I love Milwaukee.
There's some great
Both
parts
of
of
those places
Wisconsin, but I just feel bad for Wisconsin right now. You've heard about Scott Walker, right?
Because I call them in our little sheet here, Darth Vader. I mean, and
he's the fucking devil.
I think it's hilarious that people are so afraid of him when he's trying to. Now, he may be wrong in the way of doing it, but education is fucked, and money has never been the answer. So I have no problem with him cutting education. Tons, too. And privatizing more of it.
Yeah,
no problem with any of it.
Cut all the education, then just skyrocket fucking tuition for all these people. And then skyrocket student loans.
Those things...
Super fun.
Government has already been doing that for years, allowing that to happen.
But
so
this
agree.
Is fucking crazy.
But hold on, where is he? Is he raising tuition at as colleges and stuff?
He's cutting some insane amount from the whole university system, which essentially forces them to put the burden of the cost of education more on students.
See, and I agree that is what will happen, but that's bullshit because they need to cut back their whole thing. The universities are taking in, but they're taking in an amount that does not, if you go by the percentage of how much more you're charging, the education has not changed.
I care less. I think that's screwed up because I'm worried about student loans and all my friends have to pay them. Even more so, I'm worried about inner city kids who have nothing, and now they have even less of an opportunity to buy, to get the supplies.
Well, and that's where the only part.
Sad. It's just sad.
But if you have a private system that they can get into through like a voucher system or something, that will be better. Because inner city schools are fucked. That's where I understand where your alarm comes from, and I understand why people are scared of this, but. What's the other side of it? Right now, it's a mess. Right. So maybe he'll make it a mess in a different way.
There's not an easy answer for fixing our education system, right? There's not.
No.
But the last thing that you should be doing is taking resources away. It's just at minimum, just give them at least what they have now. They're just sucking more out of it, and there's nothing good that's going to come from that. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
I've seen tuition, or not tuition.
I've
seen the cost.
What are you going to do? That doesn't. It's just.
I've seen the cost of putting a kid through high school and whatever in Minneapolis go up almost double since I've been following this stuff, and the graduation rates aren't any better. So that's what I think with the.
We have.
They need to figure out what they're doing wrong with the money, like having four principals and having all these different. There's so much administration that you could probably cut out of there. They're making $100,000 a year and that kind of shit. That's what I'm saying. But anyway, we digress.
No, I'm going to watch fucking Wisconsin go down the drain the next 5 years. Put my money on it.
That's probably your Republican presidential candidate. I'm going to throw that out there right now. Scott Walker.
I know. That's
because there's nobody for the right to jump behind other than him. I mean, Trump.
Christie.
No, and that Trump thing was a joke. But. And Christie is a joke, too.
He's polling fine. They're all
is he
joke.
Still? Jesus Christ. That's the fact that in North Carolina, I think that Trump actually might have gone up in his numbers since he said the stuff about Mexicans raping everybody. Sure. Anyway, so that's kind of related.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just ready to watch Wisconsin go down the toilet. I'm not ready. I don't want to see it happen. I just have this feeling that the actions Minnesota is taking are in direct not competition, but they're completely opposite of what they're doing in Wisconsin, just with the Democratic governor versus the Republican governor, and it's going to be really interesting to see what path we both go down.
I would love to just see anything different when it comes to education, not just throw more money at it. So maybe I don't think that Walker's going to fuck this up.
I'm not saying more money. I don't think.
No, maybe less. Maybe they should deal with less. Maybe they should change the whole way they're trying to teach.
No.
But
stripping resources from kids. These kids have nothing.
And this is the problem.
One fucking,
This doesn't. We keep thinking that this starts in the schools, but the problem starts before they get to the schools.
The kids have nothing.
So, again, yeah, what we're arguing about actually isn't even the problem. We shouldn't even be talking about that. We should be figuring out how we get these kids to where they have a better family structure behind them in the first place, to where they have something to back them up when they get to school. They don't have to rely on people that don't really have any vested interest in them to be their parents, which is basically what schools do now. I think that that's what we've created now, is that your family is at school because the parents are either single parents that are working 2 jobs, or even 2 parents that are working 2 jobs and don't have time to actually be there for their kids. Anyway.
Or just shitty parents.
Well, and just shitty parents. Yeah, there's a lot of just shitty parents too.
It doesn't even matter if it's 2 jobs or 1 job. You can be a great parent and work a lot, but
that's why I wish we could somehow hold them accountable, but that's another very difficult thing to do. So the Confederate flag is going to come down Friday, tomorrow?
No.
I believe it's coming down tomorrow or Saturday in South Carolina. It's been flying in front of the State House for I don't know how many years. They even have it like part of their constitution that you can't take it down for any like specific or you have to have a very specific reason and a very specific order, like from the governor, blah, 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 blah. But apparently the governor has signed off on a bill to remove it. And I just think that the fact that the Confederate flag is even an issue in 2015 is kind of sad, and it's one of those reminders of that we haven't gotten that far, especially like race relations wise. And there are people that are still sticking up for this and still trying to say that it's a symbol, and you kind of make of it what you want. And it's hard for me to try to follow the logic of the people that are supporting this. But I guess I just want to say that, look, I actually believe that the South had a right to secede. I think in a free nation, any state should be able to leave it whenever they want. I don't understand how you have a free nation that is bound and can never escape from the rules of that nation, whatever. But that even if you think that secession was right, the reason for seceding is there's no debate. It was about slavery. It was about states' rights, but the states' rights were about slavery. And that was the whole argument, and it was all economics. Mm-hmm. It's for anyone to try to defend it or give me any other reasoning for it still being a thing. I actually would love to hear it, because I still haven't heard a good reason that this flag that you should be proud of it. Because I feel like there's still this proud thing. And I know it's basically a right-wing thing, which is also a little scary. Not a whole lot of lefties flying the whole Confederate flag. But what do you think? What is going on? Why is this even an issue?
I don't know.
Did you know it was still flying in South Carolina?
Yeah, I assume there's people that always.
So that's the only one, right? That's the only state house that still has it flying.
Honestly,
I'm pretty sure it is, or we would have heard more.
Yeah, I would think. I mean, who knows though? I don't know. Does Texas fly it still?
No, but their flag is very much based on it, I think, isn't it? The Lone Star. But
I don't have any, like you said, I don't have any logic behind it. I don't have an understanding. I don't want to give them the benefit of like, well, I'm not from the South, so I don't get it. I think it's totally fucked up. But truly, I'm not from the South, so I've never even had a discussion with someone about why this would even be important.
But we're intelligent enough to understand that it's like part of their heritage.
Okay.
It's a part of their history. Yes, so are a lot of things that you don't necessarily want to keep reminding people of, right? Like and here's the most ludicrous.
Well, I'm trying to think of what else. What's another good example of something that was important to people at once? And I should probably have this off the top of my head.
Well, the swastika. I mean, that's another symbol,
but
a national pride
not
thing.
Something that, but something that was important to someone, and then logically it meant something else later, and so they were like, well, probably should take it down. Probably should put it in a museum.
But aren't you kind of saying then that the Confederate flag meant something different than it does now? Because that's kind of my point, is I don't think it ever really did. It always meant the same thing.
I guess it means the same thing, but that meaning is no longer a valid and okay thing to think. So.
Right.
You know
and that
what I mean?
was considered okay until kind of recently. Yeah, good point. The one thing that I saw out there, that by somebody defending the Confederate flag was, Christians and religious people are very offended by the gay rights flag, by the gay pride flag, and that's very offensive to Christians. And I just went, yeah, really good comparison, because all of those Christians that were killed and enslaved and lynched under the gay pride flag, so similar. Where the fuck?
Christians are so oppressed.
Do you know what? Yes.
From the gay pride flag and the parades and the depression at its finest.
Do you know what the two flags have in common?
I told you this.
What?
That was my comment.
What?
What is it?
I was just going to say that they're flags.
Oh, I was going to say that they're both blowing the wind.
Okay, yeah, there you go. That's perfect. Well done. That is exactly right. That
so
literally
that's what I commented on your post.
Okay, good. That's literally the only thing that those things have in common.
Okay, speaking of Christians being oppressed, have you seen?
They are being oppressed, by the way, in Iraq and
Yes.
like a few other Middle Eastern countries.
I'm talking from
but yes,
today
American
in modern
Christians,
America.
Yes.
Christians
Not
are
the roughest of
being
all
oppressed.
lives.
But
And they think, but here's the thing though, is the hardcores actually do
Okay.
think their life is tough.
because they think their religious freedom is being, this
Yes.
is the center of the debate. Is they're trying to grasp onto something, and that's their religious freedom. So on that note, have you seen this video? It's from CatholicsUnited.org or something like that. It's from a Catholic association or foundation or whatever. And it starts off, and it's just people looking into the camera. And this is dead serious. And they're like, it's been really hard. I just can't even laugh. I just don't want to tell anybody. It's every day I struggle to just really be me. And then it's like, I have something to say. And it goes, I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. I believe marriage is between a man and a woman. And they go through this whole spiel on how they feel they're being oppressed because it's so taboo to say I'm against gay rights. Like
They've been put into the closet.
They've been put to the closet because they no longer can express their views freely without being made fun of or so. And then they're like, well, I have lots of gay friends. That they do the whole.
No, you don't.
I have gay friends and I love them, but
I know a black guy. Doesn't that sound the same?
But I still think marriage is between a man and a woman.
Okay.
It's the fucking best. Can we just pull it up and play it, please?
No, jeez. Yeah.
It's
If we can get this audio
called,
to work.
Oh, that's true. Or on your phone.
Yeah, there you go.
It's called,
let's see if we can get that audio to work. But
it's
anyways,
called
I will
Catholics. It's maybe only a minute and a half long, but it's really worth playing the whole thing. It's Catholics. Oh, I turned my phone off.
Catholics Come Home. Would that be any chance? So that's the first thing that comes up.
Catholics. Just search Catholics gay marriage or something. It's maybe the best thing ever.
Okay, Catholics are super sad. Is it that?
Yeah, maybe.
Let's see if this will. God, give us audio.
Is it black and white?
Oh, this is like a news story showing it.
Okay, here. Oh, you're not alone. It's called Not Alone.
Okay.
Here, I'll find it. There you go.
Why isn't that coming through the whole thing?
We're really good tonight.
It's so weird that it's not.
Did you find it?
No, because I'm concerned about the sound.
Something's playing. Oh, here, I found it.
Here, just try your phone.
Okay.
'Cause I don't think it's the phone. I think it's the board. There's a settings change that I don't know what it is. Let's do this.
Uh-oh. Okay, we're going to start over. Here we go.
Hold on, but why is it not?
It's fine.
All right. Now I'm very worried that no one heard that because we're not showing levels, but I don't know. We're going to assume that they did. Either way,
I feel like this has happened before, and it did work just fine.
I think you're right, but it's just so disconcerting. As a former producer, to not see levels, it's like the scariest thing ever.
Right.
Because dead air is always the enemy, right? But okay, so if you didn't hear it, if you didn't hear that, go look it up because it is funny. And what's so sad.
Speak truth with love.
Now, whoever the ad agency that did this knew what they were doing, but I wonder if the people in this realize that that is just basically the whole gay thing turned on its head. Because that to me sounds like people that, I mean, not that long ago, people would be very afraid to come out and say they were gay, but they felt they were right, but they just couldn't share that because the world was against them and blah,
That's
blah, blah, blah.
exactly what's happening here.
Now, but do you think that the people in that are intelligent enough to realize that's what they were going for? Because to me, it's like almost being sarcastic.
That's exactly what they were going for.
Okay.
Like, that was 100% real. And they knew exactly what they were doing.
That is so sad.
So sad.
You oppressed fucks. God, what? And again, here's the thing. Even if you believe that marriage is only between a man and a woman, it cannot be any other way, I always thought, so then when two men get married or two women get married, that's just invalid to you. It just doesn't exist, so who gives a shit? Like, in your head, that's not a real marriage. That can't even be a thing. Who cares? The only thing that makes it a thing, and this is where I want to go, maybe we'll take a break first, but the only thing that makes it a thing is the legal part, where the state comes in. Why does that have anything to do with your religion? You get to practice your religion. Don't marry a guy. Don't marry a girl.
Does not have to marry.
No.
If they don't want to marry a gay couple, they do not have to.
No.
The church does not have to.
And that, I think, is okay, right? I think that a private institution like that should be able to discriminate.
That is the definition of religious freedom.
Yes.
You are allowed to go, a religious institution is allowed to say, no, that is against our religious belief. We do not practice that in our church. That's not, or in our religious space.
Right. But a public institution, and this is where people always kind of don't understand the Constitution. The Constitution is about the government. It's not about the church.
I don't know what's understand the Constitution.
There's a lot of people that fucking misunderstand the Constitution.
The Constitution's a little vague, Jason.
It's pretty short, though. Really, actually, it's a pretty, especially like the First and Second Amendment.
It's open to interpretation.
Well, that's where they're geniuses and also assholes about it. But to me,
yes,
I think there's a lot of people that they think religious freedom means they get to infringe on others. When religious, and there again too is people don't read their history. The whole reason that they have that in there is because in other countries you literally were told what religion you could practice.
Right. And
that's not what's happening here.
If you practiced another religion, you were jailed.
Right.
Or whatever.
Right.
Or killed.
Or maybe beheaded or burned at the stake or whatever. Yeah. And now
let's keep going through ways to die.
Well, I'm just trying to go through religious, because I feel like those were always the most fucked up. Salem witch trials and all that.
Sure.
Anyway, let's take a quick break, and then we're going to touch on this a little bit more. Then we got to get into women's sports, and then we'll talk a little what's latest on TV, True Detective, and another show that you may or may not have heard of right here on the podcast.
Hey, this is Terry.
And Tracy.
We are going to be starting a new podcast here in Minneapolis called Eat This, Twin Cities. Why don't you tell everybody what that actually means?
Yeah, so we're going to be doing a weekly show on food, drink, music, events, and just other randomness. Anything great that's going on in the Twin Cities.
Plus, we're going to be doing some giveaways as well. That's right, prizes. People love prizes.
It'll be a ton of fun. Join us.
Tell us where they can find the podcast.
All right. It is eatthisTwinCities.com, or you can check out our Facebook page at facebook.com/eatthisTwinCities.
So until next time, eat this, Twin Cities.
Something strange.
I bet this is a song you've never heard in your life. It's not a popular Wu-Tang song by any means.
And I'm not, as much as I love rap and hip-hop, I'm not good at knowing the really deep album shit.
Okay.
Like, I'm not, so I can never pretend to be like a true fan.
You listen to 102.5? Have you checked
I
that out?
just put it on my radio.
And you probably like it, right?
I do like it.
That's right up your alley then if you're not like a deep cut guy.
Well,
Jesus, perfect.
yeah.
Because that's where I listen to 102.5 and go,
It's
that's
a
pretty
little-
cool, but it
it's
gets
a
very top of the...
But it can get a little too top. It can get a little like KTV from like
Yes.
2002.
Yes.
And
They
it's
start
like,
playing some
ah.
actually really bad music.
Right.
It's like, we don't have to bring everything back
Right.
to the 90s.
Like, okay, I can like listen to Usher's, like on a Saturday night at 9 maybe, but I don't want to hear it at like 3 in the afternoon. Like, I want to hear some like good fucking hip hop.
Yes. Okay, so the one last thing I want to touch on gay marriage, and then obviously if you have anything to add, go ahead, of course. But, I don't remember where I saw this brought up recently, so this isn't an original idea, but I mean, I've had it many times in the past myself, is that this right to marriage. This was kind of what the gay community was fighting for, this right that they weren't allowed to have.
Mm-hmm.
And marriage isn't a right. Marriage is like it's a license, first of all. So it's like driving. You don't have a right to drive on the roads. You actually have to go through steps to earn it, and then it can be revoked.
Okay. Well, how can marriage be revoked?
You cannot get a license, right? It's been revoked to gay people ever since time's begun. It's only been allowed to straight people. So the point being, a right isn't something that the government issues. A right is something you already have, and the government can only infringe on it. I'm not wording this correctly, but the point being that, in my mind, I've always been pro-gay marriage or okay with gay marriage because I don't think that marriage should be a government thing. There should not be a license to get married. Marriage should, now you should be able to have a legal contract, because I understand, like hospital visits and all that kind of stuff were the things that gay people weren't allowed to do. Because you weren't a spouse, quote unquote, legally, you couldn't, go into a hospital room, or there were things there's all kinds of legal ramifications of that. So, but I believe any two individuals that are consenting adults should be able to enter into a contract if they want to.
Yeah, but that's what marriage. So this is the problem. We've had this discussion before because religions, it doesn't bother me, but religions have commandeered the word marriage. It has gone hand in hand with not only forever way back when being a legal contract, binding two people together legally, also under God, and it's been like this catch-all, right? So religions felt like they had a grasp on it. Like Christianity felt like they owned the word marriage. But marriage at its core is just a legal contract between two people. That's what it is.
See, but I think that the history of that is backward. Because this marriage is a religious thing that had to be made into a legal thing eventually.
Right, but it was a religious thing because everyone's governments were so involved in religion.
See,
Do you know what I
think
mean?
that I think you're looking at it backward. I think that the reason marriage was a religious thing, because it was, especially in Christianity, it was because it was between a man, a woman, and God. It was a trinity. It was the three things coming together, and that had nothing to do with government, and it had nothing to do with law.
But
I think government came in and saw incentive. They had ways of creating incentive for people to get married and stay married, and that's the government side of it.
But there's always been legal implications. I mean, for instance, if you weren't married way back when and you had sex before marriage, the law could do something against you. The law could do something against you. You could be penalized.
Right.
So, in order to bypass...
There I get it.
You
Yeah,
know what I
okay,
mean?
so
Like-
there's where you're saying religion was using the law to do what they wanted.
Or the law was using... Well...
Yes, okay, maybe, yes. I
It
think
is
it
always
always
really
starts
fun.
religion and goes to government. I think because just basic humanity makes me
kind
think
of
that.
gone hand in hand. I mean, you get married in India. It's not called. It's not technically the Christian. You're not getting married under the Christian God, but you're getting married. And then there is also a legal implication to getting married, whether it's a dowry or whether it's whatever it is. And then legally, with that government, you are recognized as two, as one. Two become one.
So
Jesus. We're not taking 2 weeks again because
you've lost it, haven't you? Okay, well, there was the one last
Does that
thing.
make sense, though?
Yes. No, I understand what you're saying.
Like
And-
across the world, no matter what religion, it has been used under God or under gods or under whatever religion is kind of lay of the land, but it also has generally been a legal contract as well.
I wish that
Some sort of bind.
I am okay with that buying, but I think it should be based on every two individuals or three or four, which is kind of where I wanted to go with this real quickly. But any two adults should be able to sign into any kind of contract, and it shouldn't just be because I guess maybe here's the other part that I think is bullshit. And you can have a prenup, obviously anybody can do that, but
Sure.
in general, if you just get married, get your marriage license through state of Minnesota or whatever, and get
Right.
married and don't have a prenup, you get divorced. It's 50-50, right? The law determines
Sure.
that. I don't want the law determining that. I think that should be between the two individuals, and they should set that up when they start. So maybe I guess I'm just always pro prenup. But
so you just want everyone to have freedom.
well, what I'm saying is that I think even two individuals can understand 15 years down the road when you get divorced that this person, guy or gal, I'm not even saying which is which, doesn't deserve half of the other person's shit. One was the breadwinner, and the other one wasn't. Now, if you have kids and stuff, there's a whole different dynamic there. But if you're just talking two individuals, and one makes all the money and the other one doesn't make nearly as much, I don't think that you should just split that shit down the middle. I think that's something that should be between two individuals, not determined by the state.
That's for you to decide. But you're acting logically here. You are acting as someone who is not in a relationship,
Right.
not
A
in
single
love,
person who has
not
not gone through
wanting
any
to
of that.
get married to someone and share your life with someone. If you're not acting logically, like the government in some way acts as the logical point between two people. And if you're not going to be fucking smart enough to sign a prenup before you get married, as many people aren't, and
Most people probably don't. Right?
No, I don't think so. That is.
And I had one girlfriend who said that if we ever did go that far, that we would get one, and I was offended. And you have to be, right? Don't you have to be a little bit? I mean, but
you're just being smart, but no one acts that logically when they're getting married. I mean, you're planning a life with somebody, and you don't want to start off by saying, "Well, right now,
sign on the dotted line.
right now I
quick.
make $100K, and you make measly $60. So,
Right. And I'm really into you.
so
But,
if we break up, fuck you,
Have you
bitch."
seen the stats lately?
I mean, that's kind of the point of marriage. It's going into it like you're combining everything, and if you decide to end it, you're going halfsies.
Really quickly, I didn't read the decision. I've read enough about the decision to kind of, make an opinion of it. It sounds like if you take the majority, and we're talking, the Supreme Court decision, if you take the majority's opinion, you could apply it to polygamy, and it would completely hold up. Two things. Well, no, I guess actually the only question I have is, do you give a shit? Like, do you care if 5 people are married? Does that matter to you? Should society have a say in that?
No. No, I guess not.
But okay, but then let me take it down the psychopath logic. Well, then what's wrong with bestiality? And
Right.
what's wrong? Again, here's the fine point that I don't understand how anybody doesn't grasp. 2 consenting adults, 2 or more. I don't care how many, but consenting adults. So
Right.
no, we're not talking about pedophilia. We're not talking about bestiality. No, there's a reason that's wrong. That's just fucked up, and you can't have a legal consent between those two things.
Right.
Between a child or between a
Right.
dog or a tree or whatever you want to marry.
There is no rational consent.
Right.
Yeah.
But the polygamy thing, I think that does work with the definition of how you're looking at the law.
I know people who are in relationships with multiple people, and I don't have a problem with it.
But here's the thing that, and I don't know who would necessarily stand up for this. Obviously, like right-wing conservatives would, but there's where I think the government tries to be that incentive thing. Like, we as a people, we don't like polygamy, so we're as a government going to ban it. Now, like you said, people can still have 5 wives. It's just not, they don't have the marriage license.
Right.
You can still live the life.
Right.
So I just say, let them. If we're gonna say, if this is how we're going to define marriage, consenting adults entering into a
Right
relationship.
now, it's 2 consenting adults.
I don't understand why that can't be multiple. And I have nothing. I don't understand why anybody would be up in arms about that.
I don't know. It doesn't bother me. Like I said, I know people in. I don't know what they call them. I'm sorry. I don't want to. But it's not polygamy. They don't call it polygamy. It's called something.
There
else.
is another word, yeah.
There
I
is,
can't
and
think
sometimes
of
it
it
is.
either.
Wow.
Wow. 2 weeks off, guys. Remember, 2 weeks off.
I mean, that comes from I think the Mormon side of things, I believe, or maybe not.
Well, polygamy is part of Mormon,
I mean,
but it's
that's just
also I think it's part of Islam too.
Yeah,
There,
you're
you know,
right.
there's a lot of like
I
Saudi
think it's
princes
just
with
a
multiple
term.
wives and
Right.
stuff, aren't there? I mean,
You're right. I think it's just a term for multiple wives or multiple spouses or whatever. I don't know what they call it. I'm sorry. I have zero problem with it. If that's how they want to live their life, I don't know legally. I don't know how they get around it now. Maybe legally with a man and a woman or whatever. It is actually easy to get around it. I mean, they own a house together. They raise children together.
and what law are you breaking if you just live together?
I mean,
Even if you
they're
all live in the same
not.
house, I
And
don't
they
think
all
you could charge them with anything.
they share custody of their children. They share finances. I don't know. I mean, they're not doing anything wrong. I don't know where they don't have the rights of a married couple. I don't know where they lack in that.
Right.
I'm assuming they do.
Oh, well, again, I bet it's the hospital visits type stuff.
Sure.
And it's insurance and life insurance,
Sure.
that kind of stuff. You know,
Yeah.
health insurance. You know, you can have your spouse on your health insurance,
Yeah.
but you can't have your girlfriend on it. You know,
Right.
that kind of thing.
Right. I'm sure there's ways around it.
Oh,
Obviously,
sure.
They figure something out, but I don't know where they're lacking. I guess I would say.
I guess this
But
is
if they are, then fucking take them to court, man.
well, this is the first slippery slope that I've ever said. Let's just fucking throw a slip and slide on it. Like, I don't
Yeah.
care. Let's go. Like, what are we afraid of here? And again,
Consenting adults, exactly.
consenting adults. That does not lead to, you know, pedophilia and all this
Yeah.
nonsense. And real weird tangent here quickly, but I've heard this kind of come up, not actually said, but people say, you know, gay marriage should be legal because you can't control who you love. That's been kind of part of the reason, right? Have you heard that kind of thrown around a little
Okay,
bit?
Sure.
Now, that's dangerous just on its own because it can lead to, and people have said, like, well, pedophilia or pedophilia is, you're kind of, that's in you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that's
It's a mental
learned,
illness.
right?
Yes, it's a mental illness.
So, those, again, to those, the psychos, they go, well, what's that's how they feel. What's
Right.
wrong with that?
There's
I don't think we're just saying no matter how you feel is right.
No.
I think what we just decided is heterosexual isn't necessarily how it has to be.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily sound that, okay, well, pedophilia is okay too. Like, they always take it
No,
to the
because-
next crazy level.
But I know because
you
they're
have
trying
to?
they're trying to find a reason to, you know, make this not valid, and they know it is. I think people truly know that it is a valid thing. Maybe they don't. Maybe some people really believe in their hearts that it's wrong and it's gross. I don't know anymore. I don't know
It's
anymore.
gross.
I'm like confused. But you know, there's a point to be made that pedophilia is a mental illness that takes years of therapy and treatment, and those are wrong feelings because you are sexually attracted to a non-consenting human. Who
And
is
that's
not,
where
who
we
is
get to
not
make
at
the moral
sexual age.
judgment of the society.
Right, and something is wrong with that. We are talking about two consenting adults.
Let's take our last break. We'll come back, talk Women's World Cup and what it maybe, possibly means for women's sports, and much more here on the podcast.
Reach for this one.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back online,
Just turn it on. That took a very PG direction.
along comes this hit show.
I'm constantly burping on stage.
Hey, you heard about Madonna, right?
Twin Cities Hit Show with Rusty, Courtney, and Chuck.
Had she fallen to the ground and her eyes rolled into the back of her head, what would you, Tim Mahoney, have done?
I'd have tried to make out with her.
Nice.
Get in line.
The Twin Cities Hit Show with Rusty, Courtney, and Chuck airs live daily, 9:30 to 10:30 on the Alive and Social Network.
Ever swallowed a bug or choke like Courtney on stage?
Yeah.
Not fixing one, not fixing one, but really help them get
I
over
meant to
those,
do this.
like wrong urges, because it seriously is. That break was short.
Yeah, well, I'm only playing one promo
Oh.
each, so.
I know, I'm so used to like chatting away for a minute or two.
Well, if you're interested in sponsoring the program, let us know. And we'll have a little bit of
Yeah.
a longer break.
If you want to sponsor the program,
And, if you guys,
we'll drink your beer or cider on every show, and we'll always promote it on
absolutely.
Twitter and Facebook.
And if you want us to stop taking 2-week breaks, that would help too. The sponsorship would
You
make
know what?
that
I
easier.
think everyone else was busy. It's the summer.
Oh, I know.
I'm just going to go with that.
I don't think anybody's too worried about it.
Except I have been lacking on my. I've been, refreshing the podcast every day, trying to find something new to listen to, and everyone else is kind of taking a little easy break.
Yeah, it seems like it too.
Marin's still going strong, but he did the President Obama interview.
That was really fun to listen to, and I mean, Corolla does this show every day still,
Yes.
but I do feel like it's a little bit of a break in the podcast world.
Yeah.
Well, really quickly, let's. Everything we play on the show is purposefully embarrassing. Just so you guys know, that's not. I'm not proud of that. That's supposed to be funny. So
I'm not proud of that.
the women win the World Cup, and I was actually surprisingly more into it than I thought it would be.
Oh.
The restaurant that I now work at.
What do you mean you were surprisingly more into it than you thought you would be? Because you don't like soccer?
I don't give a shit about women's soccer. I don't ever watch women's soccer. I would never watch a friendly.
There was
a U.S. friendly ever.
There was a whole BuzzFeed article on this.
I might have read it too. I've read a bunch about this lately.
Like men's reactions to caring all of a sudden about women's soccer. They were like, wow, these women are actually pretty good.
Well, okay.
Oh my god, I'm actually interested in women's sports.
I understand that they're talented players. That's never been an issue for me. The issue to me is they are slower in every sport.
Is that what makes it more boring?
Yes. Like the WNBA, I can't watch it. Now, I don't like the NBA much, but I can't watch the WNBA. Like, I can't even watch it for 5 seconds. And college women basketball, whoa, that's horrible. And then, softball is actually kind of interesting, though, because it's different. It's not baseball. It's kind of condensed, and it's made a little different in the way that they do it. And one thing I have to make sure I say before we go anywhere else with this is that women actually, the way they play soccer is more fun to watch. That is for sure. It's not better.
I love men's soccer.
Well, but the thing about the women is it's way more end to end. I feel and I don't know if it's because they're not as good at defense or something, or maybe they play more offensively. But I swear it's more action, and you don't get the whole we're running side by side and one trips up, and then as soon as they hit the ground, it's as if they were shot. Yeah. And I saw a great little. I don't know if it'd be
that's the most fucking annoying thing about men's soccer.
Yes,
is
and
that
everybody
bullshit.
What there's a GIF for? Do you say GIF or GIF? I think we talked about this.
GIF.
GIF. Okay. I saw one today where it's a woman soccer player. I don't even know what league it would have been because it didn't look international. It looked like maybe like a college. I say GIF. I don't know. But she.
Fuck that GIF. No, I say GIF.
See, it is GIF.
It's GIF actually.
But we say GIF.
But everyone says GIF.
Either way.
Because GIF's peanut butter.
Jiffy.
I call it GIF.
I'm so thrown off.
What? GIF.
Anyway, this GIF.
It's Jiffy.
Isn't it Jiffy? Pretty sure.
No, that's Jiffy Pop.
Or am I talking about Jiffy Lube or something?
It's Jif.
Which is an oil change place, you sickos.
Peanut butter.
Okay. Anyway.
Jif peanut butter.
I
had some today.
Oh, so this this small little video that loops.
It's actually called that video,
Jesus
Jason.
Christ.
It is a series of images.
Every video is a series of images. Oh, God. There's actually no such thing as video then. Anyway, this woman, she's bloodied at the mouth. She looks like she got punched, hard in the mouth. And she just, spits, maybe even a tooth out, and just keeps walking, back into the play. And then they show Cristiano Ronaldo. He gets pushed, almost in the throat, but it's more in the chest. And he grabs his face and screams on the ground and rolls and rolls and rolls around. And it's just, and there is that, the whole dynamic of women's soccer. I feel like if an opposing player did that on a women's soccer field, the other women are going to fucking freak out on her. What are you doing?
Get up,
Whereas
bitch.
Men, that hasn't happened. They just said, oh, that's how we do it.
There needs to be the blood rule. There needs to be the blood rule like hockey, where unless you're really, down on the ground and something's broken.
Or like a major headbutt.
Sure.
Those guys get concussions without drawing blood, but I know what you're saying.
But come on, let's make the blood rule here, just like hockey.
No blood, no foul.
They kind of, they do the squeezer, but it's like they don't.
No, yeah, they tried it. Yeah, they think they might have been cut. They're like, oh yeah,
okay.
see if I can get that open. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's about it.
Okay, so the one thing though that I saw about this that bothered me was a quote, and I think it might have been a player from the team, but I really hope it wasn't. But it was somebody saying, well, I hope they start calling it soccer and men's soccer now. Because the women's is the real soccer.
They're just being cheeky.
But here's the thing, ladies. There's a reason that there is soccer and women's soccer. And that is because none of you women are good enough to play with the best soccer players in the world. You can't do it. You can't compete.
Well, we still have to combine it up. There's the best men's soccer players in the world, and there's the best women's soccer players in the world.
No, there are the best soccer players in the world, and then there are the best women.
And the best women's soccer players.
No.
But men usually are on certain sports. Men are always going to outdo women.
Name a
always.
Yes. So that's why we watch, is because we want to see the best at it. Okay, not the best of their sex.
Let's think of some sports that women would probably excel at. Gymnastics.
Men are just as good as gymnastics.
Not always.
Comparatively, men would be better. Okay. If you were comparing length of or height of jumping and all that stuff in gymnastics, the men are going to be better at that.
But women are more flexible.
Sure. And figure skating, actually, I think would be a better example.
Figure skating.
Now, I don't know if women are better, but I'd rather watch them do it. And that's not necessarily a sexual thing. I'm just saying, it's grace, I think, actually, is what plays into that.
I'd rather watch women do gymnastics and do...
Because they're both graceful, right? Or is that the reason? I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
No, I'd rather watch women do gymnastics and women do ice skating. Sorry, did I just say that?
That makes sense, yeah. No, yeah, and you did kind of repeat it, but okay, but so
I'd rather watch women play sand volleyball.
Well, so would I, but that is sexual. That is absolutely sexual. But and again, the men are better. They can't compete.
I'm trying to think of sports where you could really put 2 and 2 together, and the women might actually have a fair chance at winning. Sand volleyball. I think that's one of them.
If they did, why wouldn't they already have that then? Why wouldn't the women be able to compete with the men?
Because it's just normal to break it.
I don't think so. I think it's a skill level thing.
What else?
My whole point, though, is just being that
I should Google this.
The reason that we watch sports, let me just speak for myself. The reason I watch sports is to see the best athletes do what they're doing.
Yeah.
So in baseball, basketball, football, any of the 4 majors, soccer, rugby, however far down the chain you want to go, men are better. They just are. Golf. What's her name was going to maybe break the barrier, the sexual barrier. Sex barrier. I can't think of her name right now, though. Michelle Wee, yeah. And she almost, I think she competed in one men's tournament, but she couldn't keep up. She cannot hit as far.
Sure.
And the thing with women's golf, that's another thing where I think women want just equality, and you're not going to get it. But you can have, like I said, when it comes to sports.
This is a good transition.
But you're not going to get equality because you just can't physically do it.
Right.
Now, you can not admire, because that sounds condescending. You can enjoy women's soccer. I watched that entire game. Sure. And the first 15 minutes was fucking insane. That was so cool.
But,
and her goal from midfield, I mean, you don't see men do that very often at all. And that was a skill thing where if a guy goalie was there too, she's kicking over his head too. That was not necessarily a man-woman thing. But in figure skating, volleyball, there are ways that we can enjoy.
Think of what actually, I don't know. I was just making a guess in terms of sand volleyball. I'm like, that sounds like that could maybe be evenly matched. I don't really know.
I just don't think there is. I just don't think there is one, and that's okay though.
No, that's totally okay.
But I think there are women that are pissed off that women's soccer and WNBA isn't getting equal time on ESPN.
Well,
they don't fucking sell commercials. Right. That's why. Because people don't watch it.
I love watching women athletes in certain instances. I mean, I find it fascinating. I watch just as much women's sports on the Olympics as I do men's. But when it comes to pro sports, I generally watch more men's sports because they are stronger, faster, bigger, rougher. I'd rather watch more hardcore thing.
I found myself, and again, I was just watching this game at home alone, hungover as hell. But excuse me. But I was sitting there going, every time you get close on a gal on either team, but with mostly the American team, I was just going, oh, she's hot. Oh, she's hot. And I'm going. I've never watched a baseball game going, oh, he's good looking. He's better looking. And I was saying this to a friend of mine, a girlfriend of mine that I work with. She's like, oh, no, I did that the whole time I watched the game. So I'm like, oh, I'm not sexist. I'm just a human. Oh, good.
No, I mean, you're watching really attractive, fit humans.
Especially soccer, you have to be
no
both
matter
men and
what.
women.
Absolutely, no matter what, it's fun to watch humans play sports, and it's fun to they're good-looking people, and what they do is really incredible. No matter the sex, the women might be a little bit slower, but it's fun to watch.
Yes, it's fun to watch people in good shape move around.
Totally,
just is.
Let's be real.
Yeah, that's just real.
But I was going to say that's a good transition into maybe the TV that we're doing.
That's where I want to go because we only got a couple minutes left.
There was a really good line in True Detective. Colin Farrell says to what's her face? I love her. Rachel McAdams is his character. I don't even know their names yet.
Antigone or something is her first name. Bezarides or something. It's so what? But anyway.
Okay, whatever. He says, what's up with all the knives? And she says, I'm the sex that could easily get killed with my bare hands. And I couldn't do the same to
This
a
is
man.
my equalizer.
Yeah. I was like, dude, that's so right.
That's a perfect little segue.
That's so right.
And just, okay, that's your favorite line. My favorite line so far of the whole series is, you got to put it with the look, but he just looks over and goes, is that a fucking e-cigarette?
That was the one laugh in probably the whole show.
Oh, and that's his only funny line delivered all 3 shows, for sure. Because he is not a funny character. He has no sense of humor. Is that a fucking e-cigarette? Are you serious? I love that. And I love what that show is doing with that, because they are completely just shaming e-cigarettes and her for smoking them. And I do too. And don't get me wrong. Hey, if you've been smoking a pack of cigarettes a day for the last 20 years and you switch to e-cigarettes, good for you. Right. Stick with them. I don't care what you do either way. But I just think, to me, it's just weird. You're not smoking, but you need your nicotine. To me, it was always about smoking.
Puts it up to her lips and sucks in with all her rage.
Sucks
and
weird too.
She's she's kind of like a fake badass, and she kind of knows it. And that's the character she is a badass, but
yes,
she's.
She knows she's also not.
Well, she has a facade.
Yes,
there's something that she's hiding underneath everything. Yes. I mean, they all are.
Right.
I mean, they all have a facade of strength, and really, they're really weak people for however many reasons. But that's kind of her thing. Is she wears all the rings, and she's got the messy hair and the leather jackets, and she's badass. And she
interrupts every man that she talks to, which I noticed. I love it. In a Grantland article or something today, which I thought was great.
She's great.
And the other line, the Colin Farrell line too, is that about the e-cigarette is that he says it feels too much like sucking a robot's dick, which I also thought was funny.
That was the other laugh too.
That's the first episode though.
I can pick out the 3 laughs in that show.
Right.
It's so dark.
All right.
Oh, okay.
So just really quickly, because we are running out of time here, but are you enjoying that show? And have you read anything about it? Because I'm reading a lot about it, which I usually don't do, but I have to with this show for some reason.
Haven't read much. Been catching up where I can. Usually read a lot. Will probably start reading soon. Not as connected to the characters as I was first season, but I'm still really enjoying it. There's not a Russ Cole that I'm super attached to.
How could you be attached to any of these characters yet? They're so shallow still.
Right.
And this is where I read a piece today that was basically saying this is the best show because it's so bad. I mean, they're saying how just the way that actors are even giving their lines, it's they're going, fucking really? Did I really just say that? And Vince Vaughn, I think, is the perfect epitome of that because it's his. Whoever
Stan didn't deserve this. Stan was a good man. He deserved better.
Whoever wrote that and then said, let's get Vince Vaughn for this.
I love Vince Vaughn in this show.
See, I think, and I don't know, maybe, actually, if what I'm about to say were occurring, I'd probably be pissed about it, but I want some of Vince Vaughn, a little bit. I want that edgy, smart-ass, quick-wit stuff that he hasn't done once yet.
He's keep your brains on, it won't matter to me.
Yeah, he's playing this tough mafioso guy or whatever, and it's just not, it doesn't work for me. But
well, he's breaking out of his shell for the first time. I don't think he's playing a bad mobster.
No, he's doing the role fine, but I just think you could have almost anybody do that, which to me goes, why waste Vince Vaughn then? You know what I mean?
I don't know, I'm ready to.
I don't feel like he's bringing something out of this character that someone else would.
I don't want Vince Vaughn, like crab cakes Vince Vaughn, though.
Well, no, that's my buddy say you want Wedding Crashers Vince Vaughn.
Right, like,
No,
I don't want
of course
that.
not, but I feel like you could write a little bit in there without it being, stupid or comical.
Sure.
What was the other? Oh, and then just for all of you out there who
Faces.
haven't heard of this yet, you hadn't yet either. I think Mr. Robot, it's on USA, okay? I heard those two things, and I went, why the fuck would I ever watch that? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I've heard from two people that really, really, I hold their opinion high when it comes to TV. They're saying it's the best show already.
All right, cool.
And there's a lot of articles about it, too.
I'll check it out.
Check out Mr. Robot,
I'm
USA.
gonna start watching Bloodline too.
Yeah, you're way late on that.
I know, but I was too busy. God, leave me alone. Did you watch Bloodline?
It's in every episode, yeah. Fun.
Is it worth it?
Yes.
How many seasons is it?
Just one.
Oh. Fuck you.
It's Netflix. It's the first.
Thank you.
All right, we will be back next week. Promise. No, really though. We'll be back.
Yeah.